There's no point, you know, selling it to a wreckers, wrecking it out, when you could spend a few $1,000s and fix it and get some years of enjoyment out of it. Hello, continuing with my theme of XR6 related videos. This video I'm going to talk about how much did it cost me to get to 350 kilowatts or 460 rear wheel horsepower. So let's get into it. G'day everyone, bit of a different one for you today. I've never done one of these videos before, so bear with me. Full disclosure, the car that I bought already had some mods done, things like exhaust and all that sort of stuff. I'll get into it a little bit as I'm going through the list. So keep that in mind. That obviously saves some money along the way when trying to chase these sort of figures. But having said that, 9 times out of 10, if you're buying an XR6 Turbo, it's already going to have some mods anyway. The chances of now finding a bog stock one is pretty slim and desirable too. Also, some of the prices I paid were either on sale price, full-blown retail price, or even trade price because of where I work. So let's get into the list. Purchase of the car. That cost me $2,000. because a rod had left the engine block. What did I get for that $2,000? A genuine BA XR6 Turbo T5 manual. Already had a relatively newish heavy duty clutch already installed. Had the full X-Force exhaust kit from the dump pipe back, so 4-inch dump, an X-Force exhaust kit with a high flow cap. That had already been done. The engine already had valve springs done. Took them off and put them on a new engine. Genuine 19-inch FPV rims, albeit a little bit of scratching here and there, and really crappily painted black, but genuine rims nonetheless. Lowered suspension, growler air intake, which I retained. Monza intercooler, a little bit better than stock, I guess, and all the turbo hardware to swap over. So I obviously didn't use the actual turbo because that was Cactus, but the turbo exhaust manifold, the fuel rail, and the crossover and that sort of stuff. The map sensor and the fuel pressure regulator. And lastly, the K-Han audio unit, which was already installed, which is a bonus. The previous ICC, if I recall correctly, was that the screen was damaged and you'd had to do the old bashing of the ICC to get it to turn on. I know what that's about. I had a BA Fairmont Gear V8, which did the same thing up until I replaced the ICC with a working one. So $2,000, that was the purchase of the car as it stands. Now I had to get an engine. So the replacement engine was $600. That was for a BF gas motor, around about 160,000 Ks apparently, who knows. No bolt-ons, pretty much just from the rocket cover to the sump. Yeah, $600. Now, everything needed to turn this gas motor into a functioning turbo motor for the BA. So we'll start off with a gasket kit without the head gasket. That was $269 from Empire Elite. I didn't replace the head gasket on this vehicle. I didn't take the head off. I didn't do I didn't do head studs because obviously I wasn't chasing that much power. So the gasket kit was $269. Billet CNC'd oil pump gears and backing plate. That was $550. Remember, this is the second time round. I had to buy a set. The first set I returned because I wasn't quite happy with the quality. Yeah, they were too far out of spec. So $550 for the billet oil pump gears and a backing plate. That was from a place called High Speed Engineering. So I bought myself a secondhand GT3582R. This was from a FGF6, which I believe used the same turbos as the BA BFs. FG XR6 turbos use the smaller one, the 3572. So I grabbed that one. That was 650 second hand, clocked it to suit the BA and installed that. That also came with a Turbo Smart actuator already, which the stock standard actuators have problems with, you know, holding the flapper closed and all that sort of stuff. So that was good. So that was 650 bucks second hand. Next was the Turbo braided oil feed line. That was about 150-ish. I believe that was a Golby's parts item. I had to buy a valve spring removal tool, so I'm going to add this into this list because it was a cost for the vehicle. Whether I'm going to use it again or not, we'll see, but I'll add it in. That was $150-ish delivered. I don't know the exact amount. It was around about there. You can shop around. Some places sell them for $150, some places sell them for $250, and everywhere in between. So I got it from the cheapest place I could find, and it worked well. I bought a set of new variable cam timing plugs off eBay for 30 bucks because the original ones were cracked. So I bought a new set just to replug them. That was $30. I bought a replacement secondhand sump for $50 off Marketplace because when I removed the BF gas one, I dropped it from about yay far and it cracked. So $50. Another replacement item for the engine was the timing cover. 30 bucks from Marketplace, as one of the rocker cover bolts had snapped inside and I couldn't really extract it without doing some major damage. So $30, just grab a new one. Continuing with the theme of replacement engine parts, I had to grab a top half of the intake manifold. That was $30 from a wrecker here in Adelaide called You Pull It. One of the Allen head bolts for the top half of the plenum stripped out, and I tried to drill it out and I drilled it too far, and it sort of, I drilled a bit of the boss where the bolt head sits onto, and I just wasn't really happy, so I just grabbed another one, easy as, swapped it over. Turbo and dump gaskets, they were 15 bucks. Sump half moon gaskets was $23, as the gasket kit I bought didn't have the right one to suit the sump. I had to go grab a replacement cam exhaust sensor. That was $27 from You Pull It, including a bit of wiring to fix it up. The old one had a bit of a hairline crack in it, and the cable was frayed where it joins into the back of the sensor. So the manifold, turbo and dump bolts I replaced with grub screw studs with serrated flange nuts. They were roughly about $30 to $40 for the whole set. So they were bought from a place called United Fasteners. So sort of high tensile black grub screws with a bit of an Allen key for easy installation. 40 bucks for that. I had to grab a new washer for the water pump pipe. That was $8 from Ford. I grabbed a pilot bearing. This was initially when I was just going to reuse the clutch kit. So I grabbed a pilot bearing. That was $14. Grabbed a new set of engine mounts, $124 for them. New flywheel bolts from Ford. They were $48, as apparently it's not good to use the original one. So for 48 bucks and peace of mind, and a new set of flywheel bolts. I had to get a second-hand radiator. Grabbed one from a Territory. That was $60. The original one, I was trying to align the aircon condenser, and I stupidly grabbed a screwdriver to sort of jimmy it to the side, not realizing that I literally just poked a hole in it and it started leaking everywhere. So second-hand radiator. And I'll tell you what, the car doesn't even overheat at all. So I don't know if it's a radiator or I bled the cooling system or everything's just top notch. So that's all good. And lastly, let's say about $200 for silicone and fluids, oils and gasket makers and that sort of stuff. So that's everything for the engine. Next up was a brand new clutch. So I grabbed a extreme heavy duty organic clutch that was about $600 on special. That came with the concentric slave, pressure plate, clutch plate, another pilot bearing which I didn't use, and the clutch alignment tool. I didn't get the kit that came with the flywheel because the flywheel that was already on the car was pretty good, so I left it as that. And to be honest, it's actually harder to find the kit without the flywheel than to find the whole kit. So I saved a bit of money that way, not grabbing the flywheel. Yeah, so that was about 600 bucks. Next, the fuel pump system, which was one of my, not last video, but the video before. The fuel pump, the Walbro 525, was $187. The cabling, relay and lugs to make up the wiring kit was about $70. That also gave me about a 30 meter roll of 8 BNS, and I only used about 5 meters, maybe 6 meters of it, so not too bad. And to finish off the fuel system, the E85 Safe Raceworks corrugated hose for inside the fuel pump module. That's always a given. You don't want to use normal rubber hose because it doesn't really compress well, and yeah, the Raceworks stuff is much nicer, easier to use, and it pretty much replaces what the factory had. All right, now towards the end, the dyno tune and final mechanical work. The dyno tune itself was about $850, so it's not too bad. I got the workshop to supply and install the injectors. They were Raceworks 1150cc injectors. They were about $800, I reckon, and about 2.5 hours of diagnosing and fixing an issue I had on the dyno, and that was one of the VCT solenoids weren't working. So he replaced it with a second handy, just to obviously make the most of what the engine could do. So all up for the dyno tune and the repairs, that was a $1,950 worth of work. And obviously spark plugs were also part of that deal as well. They were just cheap NGK copper ones as requested, as suggested by the tuner. That was part of the $1950 price. So grand total, including the purchase, for 348 kilowatts, 460 horsepower at the rear wheels, as it stands now, $7,933. Did I expect to pay this much? Not really. To be honest, I was expecting, I would have loved to get away with it for about $6,000. However, A, I didn't know how much a dyno tune was going to cost. B, I could have grabbed some injectors at a cheaper price from one of the partners for where I work. However, the tuner doesn't use that particular product because they've had trouble with their batches. Also, the clutch threw me off guard, and I was originally going to go Walbro 255, so that brings the price of the fuel pump down to about 100, maybe less. Instead, we decided to go with the 525, pretty much the biggest single pump that you can get for this application. So I'm not disappointed with the price, the outcome. That's actually pretty good, to be honest. My saving grace was probably buying the car for about $2,000, even though the prices of especially BA XR6 turbos are coming down. You know, the whole price increase thing is starting to normalize. So I think I'm just lucky that it had some mods already done. I didn't have to spend $1,000 on exhaust. I didn't have to spend money on a upgraded intercooler because that was already done. And the growler intake was there anyway. I thought, well, they're worth about $400 to $600 on their own anyway if you were to buy it. So the money had already been spent, so I'll just keep it as it is and get the car back on the road because it obviously was broken and going nowhere beforehand. So I pretty much did all this just to give the car the TLC it deserved. There's no point, you know, selling it to a wreckers, wrecking it out, when you could spend a few $1,000s and fix it and get some years of enjoyment out of it. And another thought, did I want more power than 350 kilowatts? Could I have gotten more power Well, you read on the internet that throw a gassy in with the normal turbo stuff, put an E85 and push it to the moon, you know, 400, 450 real kilowatts. No, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't really want that, considering the gearbox issue. To be honest, 300, 320, I would have been over the moon. So 348, 350, fantastic. Like for that price, 8 grand and 350 real kilowatts, 880 Newton meters of torque. I mean, it's more than a Kia Stinger, and that's a $70,000 car. So, no. Sure, you could probably push the gas motor and an E85 much higher, but my tuner has a reputation to maintain. This is the safe maximum he got for me, and I did communicate with him earlier about what sort of power figures I was looking for, just for a safe and streetable weekend car. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Bit of a different one, a lot of me talking. People don't like that, but it gives you an idea of what you can achieve on our favorite XR6 turbos running a Barra. That's it for Panga Shed. Stick around for some more videos. The next thing I'm going to be doing to this car is servicing the gearbox, and might have to change the fuel filter and the power steering pump, which is making a bit of a whoop, sort of like a supercharged whining noise as I'm driving. So anyway, that'll be coming up. Thanks for sticking around. Cheers. See ya.